Cheeky monkey, everybody loves cheeky monkey.
We are going to be discussing Rex Allen Frederickson, Beware Mouse on YouTube, and we are going to be discussing the issue of his 3 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, as you can see here. We have recently obtained copies of case number 2001 CF 890 from the 12th Judicial Circuit of Will County, Illinois, the people of the state of Illinois versus Rex A. Frederickson. This is the original criminal complaint with the charge on this 5th day of June 2001. Complainant Detective L. McNamara charges the commission of an offense as follows. Count 1, on or about May 30th, 2001, at and within Will County, Illinois, Rex A. Frederickson, a male person, committed the offense of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, a Class 2 felony. In that said defendant knowingly committed an act of sexual penetration with a J.W. who was at least 13 years of age but under 17 years of age, and that the defendant placed his tongue in the vagina of J.W. and the defendant was at least 5 years older than J.W. in violation of Chapter 270, Section 512-16, subsection D of the Illinois Compiled Statutes 1999. And on count 2, on or about May 30th, 2001, at and within Will County, Illinois, Rex A. Frederickson, a male person, committed the offense of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, Class 2 felony, in that said defendant knowingly committed an act of sexual penetration with J.W., who was at least 13 years of age but under 17 years of age, and that the defendant placed his finger in the vagina of J.W., and the defendant was at least 5 years older than J.W. in violation of Chapter 720, Section 5/12-16, subsection D of the Illinois Compiled Statutes 1998, and was signed, undersigned, being duly sworn and on oath, says that the foregoing charges is true, and was signed by McNamara. And here is the bill of indictment, and this was people of the state of Illinois versus Rex A. Frederickson. Indictment returned by grand jury, impaneled by the Circuit Court of the 12th Judicial Circuit, County of Will, State of Illinois, on May 23, 2001. The grand jurors chosen, selected, and sworn in and for the County of Will in the State of Illinois, in the name and by the authority of the people of the state of Illinois, upon their oaths, present that, count 1, on or about May 30th, 2001, at and within Will County, Illinois, Rex A. Frederickson, a male person, committed the offense of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, Class 2 felony, in that said defendant knowingly committed an act of sexual penetration with J.W., who was at least 13 years of age but under 17 years of age, in that the defendant placed his penis in the vagina of J.W. and the defendant was at least 5 years older than J.W. in violation of Chapter 720, Section 5/12-16, subsection D of the Illinois Compiled Statute 2000, contrary to the statute and against the peace and dignity of the same people of the state of Illinois. And count 2, on or about May 30th, 2001, at and within Will County, Illinois, Rex A. Frederickson, a male person, committed the offense of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, Class 2 felony, in that said defendant knowingly committed an act of sexual penetration with J.W., who was at least 13 years of age but under 17 years of age, in that the defendant placed his mouth on the vagina of J.W., and the defendant was at least 5 years older than J.W., in violation of Chapter 720, Section 5/12-16, subsection D of the Illinois Compiled Statutes 2000, contrary to the statute and against the peace and dignity of the same people of the state of Illinois, and count 3, on or about May 30th, 2001, at and within Will County, Illinois, Rex A. Frederickson, a male person, committed the offense of aggravated criminal sexual abuse, Class 2 felony, in that said defendant knowingly committed an act of sexual penetration with J.W., who was at least 13 years of age but under 17 years of age, in that the defendant placed his finger in the vagina of J.W., and the defendant was at least 5 years older than J.W., in violation of Chapter 720, Section 5/12-16, subsection D of the Illinois Compiled Statutes 2000, contrary to the statute and against the peace and dignity of the same people of the state of Illinois. A true bill. And there was the witness who testified, Larry McNamara, and bail was set at $15,000. A warrant of arrest was stayed to issue, and the judge of the circuit court down here you can see signed. And this is also was returned to me as part of the public records request that Rex Frederickson put in a plea of guilty. I do hereby enter my appearance in this case and plead guilty to the offense as charged therein. I understand the nature of the charge against me and understand the penalties prescribed for the offense for which I am charged. I hereby waive my right to a jury trial, waive my right to confront and cross-examine witnesses who would testify against me, waive my right to not incriminate myself, and I subject myself to the penalty that shall be imposed by the judge. I do all of the above freely and voluntarily, with a signature which I am assuming is Rex Allen Frederickson. And here is the original probation order, and this was late April of '03, and when I was reading over this, you can see that we'll complete sex offender counseling, and will not have contact with any people under the age of 18 years, shall not have contact with the victim nor the victim's family, and for 48 months. And right up there on the top, on this date, defendant herein have been convicted of the offenses of aggravated sexual abuse, 3 counts. And then this was also returned. This was another probation order, which was from January of '04. And pretty much the same, that the defendant shall not have contact with anybody under the age of 18, not including his family, and that defendant is ordered to obtain a drug alcohol evaluation, comply with the recommendations herein, and defendant is ordered to complete sex offender counseling through a counselor approved by probation, along with all of the other requirements of probation for 48 months. And there you go. That's what we have as far as what was obtained through a public records request of Will County. As you can see, Rex Frederickson, Beware Mouse, did plead guilty and waived his rights to a jury trial. Incident Report Number 01-16634. Case Report Number 01-1800, dated 6/1/01. Offense: aggravated criminal sexual abuse. Pages 1 through 6 not provided. Page 7. First 9 lines redacted. At about 2:24 a.m., RPD dispatched officers to the redacted residence on a complaint that Rex Frederickson was at the front door wanting to talk to redacted. On my arrival in the area, I found him walking away from the residence near Belmont Drive and Dalhart Avenue. When I asked him why he had been at the residence, he stated he had, quote, spurned, unquote, a girl there, and needed to make sure she was all right. I explained the allegation made by redacted and took him into custody for further investigation. At about 3:05 p.m., I advised Frederickson of his constitutional rights. Miranda warnings. Continued. Page 8, which he waived. Detective Sullivan was present for the warnings and interview. Frederickson related that he had initially introduced himself to redacted because she looked, quote, depressed, unquote. He had tried to cheer her up by asking her to marry him. He befriended her over the next several weeks and did things such as walk his dogs and give each other back rubs. He had also described the workings of his internet business and discussed her working as a salesperson. As time went on, they, quote, crossed more lines, unquote, with their physical behavior. He stated that he knew this was wrong because she was only 16 years old. He also explained that he was, quote, stressed, unquote, due to 2 years of celibacy. On 5/28 or 5/29, redacted had come to his house, and while alone in his bedroom, she had masturbated him to ejaculation. She had initiated the encounter. He also stated that on 5/30/01, redacted had come to his home again, and they had gone into his bedroom alone. They had mutually undressed each other. He stated that he touched her breasts and buttocks. Continued. Page 9. Performed cunnilingus on her and had penetrated her vagina with his, lined out with initial correction LPM, quote, 2 fingers, unquote. He also stated that redacted had tried to position herself to force him into vaginal intercourse. He was unable to penetrate her vagina with his penis due to her being, quote, too dry, unquote, and a tampon being present. He stated that he eventually ejaculated after rubbing his penis in the exterior of her vagina. He described this as, quote, dry fucking, unquote. He denied using any threats or force. He stated that the sexual encounters had been for mutual gratification. Frederickson provided a written statement. Note, due to legibility, the statement was later transcribed to type format. At about 5 p.m., Frederickson was released pending review by SAO and approval of complaints. Reporting officer's signature, field supervisor's signature. Second officer's report, 6/101. I witnessed Rex Frederickson waive his rights to Detective McNamara at about 3:05 p.m. Rex subsequently confessed to engaging in sexual acts with redacted, including cunnilingus, digital penetration of redacted vagina with 2 fingers, and rubbing his penis on redacted vagina. This occurred Wednesday night, 5/30/01, per Rex Frederickson, at his residence in his bed. Redacted was a willing and active partner during this time, had come to his house on her own volition. Rex stated that redacted gave him a, quote, hand job, unquote, Monday or Tuesday when she came over to his house. Rex stated he had known redacted for about 4 weeks. Rex gave a written statement which Detective McNamara and I witnessed. Rex stated that redacted wanted to have full intercourse, but he refrained from doing so. He also stated Redacted was having her period and had a tampon in during Wednesday night's sexual encounter. He stated he did ejaculate on her. Rex was released pending SAO review and approval for complaints. Officer's signature, field supervisor signature, supervisor approving signature. Transcription. Statement of Rex A. Frederickson. DOB 12-162, page 1. Date 6/1/01. Misspelled word, case 01-1800. I met Redacted 4 or 5 weeks ago. She found out that I lived near and she began coming to my house before and after work. To get in order of occurrence, I invited her to walk my dogs for promotional effort, having painted me dog blue to attract people's attention. This is the first instance of physical contact. We exchanged back rubs. As time progressed, we became less aware of boundaries. On or about 5/28/01, she came to my house. We gathered in my bedroom to talk and watch TV. I had discussed working for Sunbird as a salesperson prior to this and laid on the bed with notebook to explain what may be asked of salespeople and began cuddling. During this time she placed her hand in my pants and began rubbing me. She did this till I came. I didn't force her to do this. She laid across me face up and I was face up during this time. She left shortly after this and came back that evening. On or about 5:30:01, she came over again, and after helping or following me through my chores, we went to my bedroom to talk about her quitting her job. She backed me to the bed and with no room gave me no choice but to pull myself up and lay down. She laid on top of me to continue to cuddle. I spoke of dangers we could have at my expense. We continued to cuddle and, unreadable, each other clothed as we would be for swimming. Her top was off and her bra. She gave me room between us so I might kiss her breasts and shoulders as she was on top. Page 2. We continued to cuddle with clothes mostly off and rolled back and forth to try turns on top as we unreadable each other. She allowed me to kiss her about the neck and down her stomach till I was having oral sex with her. We changed back and forth, getting more carried away. We unreadable, dry fucked until with her on top, and she relocated herself 2 times, maybe 3, and tried to push herself on me. I pulled us over with me on top and placed myself above her opening to slide as we were snuggling, lifted herself to alignment parts. After a silent argument of placement, scratched out sentence, as we placed ourselves in different positions and as close as I was to intercourse. In the excitement I came. During the cuddling we mutually masturbated each other. She stroked my penis with her hand. I masturbated her with 2 fingers inside and outside of her vagina as she moved to signify which she wanted. At no time was force used or displayed by either of us. At no point did I threaten or make aggressive movements or verbal abuse of her. All that had happened was in mutual gratification. The statement is true and correct to my knowledge. This is the letter that came back with my FOIA request, and what you are about to see was returned to me by State's Attorney of Will County. This is the handwritten statement by Rex Frederickson, of which the typed transcript came from and I read earlier. Statement of redacted. Date 5/31/01. Case 01-1800. I met Rex Warfield on 4/23/01 when I met him randomly at Steamer's Hot Dogs. Redacted. He introduced himself to me by saying, quote, "Hi, would you marry me?" unquote. Over the next couple of weeks we talked at Steamer's. He told me about his business, quote, Sunbird Entertainment, unquote, and invited me over to his house to learn about his business website. On Redacted, I told him that it was my 16th birthday. On Monday, 5/28/01, I went to his house, 428 Dalhart, for the first time. I was there from about 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. During that, we talked about his business and himself. He told me his name was Rex Warfield and that he was 40 years old. On Tuesday, 5/29/01, I went to his house again. There were some others there, so we went into his room to talk about his business without being distracted by their noise. At some point during that time, he also asked me if I was a virgin. I was still a virgin, but did not want him to know because it was none of his business, so I did not answer. After talking for about 20-30 minutes, he started playing with my pants belt buckle and undid my pants button. I asked him what he was doing and pushed him away. I left the house right away after this. On Wednesday, 5/30/01, I went to his house again at about 2 p.m. There were other people there and we talked until about 5:30. He and I then went into his room to talk alone. After about 20 minutes, he started kissing me on the mouth and neck and touching my breasts and buttocks. I did not want him to do this and became very scared and, quote, blocked it out, unquote. I wanted to say, quote, no, unquote, but was afraid that if I said, quote, no, unquote, it would happen anyway and be worse. I remember having unprotected vaginal intercourse one time. After the sex, he looked into my genital area and said, quote, oh good, I didn't tear anything, unquote, and, quote, well, at least now my rage is over, unquote. I got dressed and left his house right away. I was really upset and did not tell anybody about it until my counselor, Redacted, asked me what was bothering me. Signed, Redacted, Witness, Redacted. Statement prepared by Detective Lawrence McNamara, Romeoville Police Department.